All right, folks. I finally managed to find time, or actually, this bloke found time to come in and do this. That's my buddy Kevin E. West. Don't forget the E. If you Google Kevin West, he'll be upset with you.
It's a different. What's a different person?
Google. That's why you'll be upset. It's Kevin E. West. I don't know what to say, man. I've known this guy we've become friends in the last 3 or 4 years, but we've known of each other for the last 30. I know I don't look that old, but he used to babysit me, so that's how we've known each other for 30.
Then I have aged tremendously
well. Yes, you look really good.
Tremendously well.
Why do I have Kevin here, man? Kevin is a veteran of this business, okay? Whether it's acting, sessions, casting, author, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything he hasn't done in the business, and if he hasn't, he'll tell you he has.
I have not been sexually assaulted by some of the people recently in the news. That has not happened, and I'm very depressed.
It hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, it hasn't come out yet. There's still more.
Thank you.
There's still more.
Thank you.
But no, on a serious note, so I don't know where to start with him, so we'll start somewhere. Usually we should be drinking by this point, but we're not.
That's a good point.
Kevin's a wealth of information, especially for new actors coming in. You used to Google him. Don't forget the E, though. The thing I'm most excited about is Kevin started an organization years and years ago in Hollywood called the Actors Network. A really, really useful, I think so at least, was a very useful organization. It's something we should duplicate and do again. It's a place for new actors who come to town. I've been dealing with new actors for 35 years, and I see that they're lost. They need a support group. They need somewhere to go. They need to talk to other actors. And I think the Actors Network was so useful for all that stuff.
And also people who wind up being here for a while get lost again. I mean, to me, Los Angeles is a city where
we're all lost.
I think anywhere between 3 and 5 years,
right.
You can get lost again.
Yeah.
Maybe not by what you think you know, but certainly by what you feel has happened in that period of time that has confused you, overwhelmed you.
And Frank's still lost in the city because his phone doesn't work. His Waze is off right now.
They don't even know
anyway, Kevin, thank you, man. Welcome.
Sure.
Talk to me about maybe the biggest change you've seen from 30 years ago when you started in this business as an actor and you started the Actors Network and met other actors and helped other actors to today. What's the biggest change? People ask me that in headshots, and it's obvious what in headshots it is, but as an actor coming into LA, okay, talk to the people.
I would probably tend to say that I would answer the question by starting about what hasn't changed, because we get so caught up in what is the fairly obvious change, which is simply how we are able to create content
and how we submit, how actors
and
submit.
how individual content has become much more individualized and in individual control because of digital technology. That's the easy change to say. If you go back before I was even here to the mid 80s, to the mid 90s, to the mid 2000 to 2005, but then jump to 2018, the easy answer to that is technology, just to use one word.
Yes.
However, because of technology, I think we tend to overemphasize what hasn't changed in Hollywood. Because regardless of technology, what hasn't changed in Hollywood is it's still in general, for the most part, is a young person's business. How hot you are matters.
No wonder I didn't work. Right?
Well,
You're in trouble.
It's one of 3 or 4 reasons you didn't work. But anyway.
One is I decided not to be an actor. That may be the biggest reason.
To believe that your representation doesn't matter because of digital technology is completely inaccurate, in my opinion.
Okay.
So some of and just because casting is done through a firewall of an online website interface, and just because maybe things are all recorded now, as opposed to back in the day when I would audition for something and all of the necessary producers and the casting, we were in a room together. Just because those, what I call environments, have changed, the concept of being cast hasn't changed. The reasons why people do and don't get cast haven't changed, other than the occasion, and this is far more the lesser percentage than it is the bigger percentage, in that now, yes, if you are defined as an influencer or if you have a certain number of followers, it does matter, but the numbers have to be so high for that to really matter that it doesn't actually apply to as many actors as we like to think about when we're sitting at home by ourselves on Twitter or on
Give me your definition of an influencer. And this, we're talking about social media, about Twitter and Instagram and all that, how many followers.
Sure. Well, again, and to clarify that, that's the answer to your question. The biggest change is
social media.
It's easier for you to create your own content simply because digital technology is cheaper to rent.
Yes.
That's number one.
You don't even have to rent it. You have it.
Right. 1A to that is no different than what money for entertainment has always been: number of eyeballs. The only difference in your childhood and my childhood was 3 network channels, Procter & Gamble selling toothpaste. Why? Because they could guarantee number of eyeballs. Well, the thing that actually is still 100% true in appointment television, the number one appointment television we still have left in this country that has the greatest audience in America of any appointment television it's coming up. You should know this answer. It is, oh my God.
Don't trick me. I was asleep.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was asleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
$6, $7, $8 million for 30 seconds. Why? Because they know for a fact that they have between 80 and 200 million eyeballs watching that show. That appointment television is gone, which is why influencer content and influencers over the last 5 to 7 years have become more important, because how many eyeballs do you have? But on the app Popular Pays, which is one of the apps that drives influencer content, you still kind of have to have like 30 or 50,000 followers up to 1 million to even be considered someone who's an influencer.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's the biggest change. But the rest of Hollywood, to me, is still the same.
You still have to take classes. Yeah. You still have to audition well. You still have to have a good agent.
You still have to be good. Because as the joke that I make is people come out here at 19, 20 years old, and I respectfully understand that. That's long before I came here. I came here kind of old by Hollywood standards. But you come out as a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22-year-old, you have to understand there are actually people who are 22 who've been working here since they were 12.
That's right.
And it's not doesn't mean you shouldn't come, but it just means you have to understand you have people with credits since they were a kid. They may not be a star, but they have a long resume and they're 22.
But that's what I counsel and mentor actors is, what do you want? Do you want a career as an actor? Do you want a job as an actor? Big difference between a job and a career.
Yes, there is.
What brought you here? Of course, the acting business brought you here.
I was a stand-up comic and I was also an improv artist. I just decided that the lifestyle necessary to be successful enough as a comic to eventually turn that into something related to film and television wasn't something that I wanted to do right when I first got here. So when I got hired to be booked as a comic and they wanted me to go to Mississippi,
back where you were
when I had just come from, I was like, no, time out. Hang on a minute. And I had, again, this is per my book, I had to make a decision. And the decision was for me to put down stand-up comedy because it wasn't the artistic lifestyle at that time. I'm thinking about doing stand-up again, by the way. It's tragic.
I'm funnier than you. Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
But again, looks aren't everything. It's just an old joke, honey. It's just an old joke. So yeah, I mean, that's certainly the entertainment industry brought me out here, but I didn't come out here to just give it a shot or see what happens or give it a try.
No, you were all in.
Yeah, I understand respectively how people do that because they have options maybe back home. But I just no different than being a collegiate athlete. I came out here to whatever it was going to take, whatever it took to figure out the mousetrap in the game, I was going to figure out a way to work.
So what do you tell new actors? Most of the people watching this are new actors. People who've been in town 2-3 years.
Okay.
What's the best way for them to go about finding a good agent, finding the right agent, and go about trying to pursue this dream and not get frustrated? I always tell people that one of the things I loved about your network, your group, is when I talk to actors, most of them are young, new in town. They got their one day job, survival job. Sure. They go to one acting class, and then the town is too expensive, too big, too impersonal, and they don't meet anybody. They don't do anything. They sit lonely. The amount of this that I hear from actors that where can I meet people? How do I find an agent? All the stuff they teach them in acting school, they don't teach them the business part of the acting school. So give them your opinion, your advice, your 30 years plus in this business.
Oh,
what's a good way?
With 30?
30 plus. No, we're going with the plus.
Oh,
we're going with the plus.
First of all,
is that hair real?
I will knock you out on camera.
That's not fun. You think they're going to enjoy that? They'd enjoy it if I knocked you out, but not if you knocked me out.
Let's thank you. Can we get a take two on
Then
that?
give advice to brand new actors who come into town.
Well,
How do you find a great actor?
let's also start why acting universities and bachelor degrees actually don't promote the business, because it actually cannibalizes the purpose for which they're getting someone to come to school, because the business reality is a difficult business reality from a percentage standpoint. So universities don't want to actually infuse business reality into the concept of doing something you love for an art. That's why it's show business. And that's why I've always focused on the business, because the business realities are tough for us. And when you come here as a young actor, first of all, we have to define young. So
young means newcomer.
I know, but a newcomer can be 55.
That's right, but a newcomer.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're under the age of 25 and you are truly, truly, truly physically attractive by Hollywood standards, then a lot of getting a representative is still going to come down to, as it does, based on the look and having a good headshot. However, even if you are, I have said it for, I don't know, Frank. I've said it, Frank standing off camera.
I know Frank standing off camera.
We
all know Frank.
AJ, I know, it's disturbing. I've said for 17 years, now 18, since the turn of the century, when the Actors Network office was still open, I have been saying for 10 to 15 years, if I came to LA today, same dude, I remember my mentality when I moved here. If I came here and looked at the map of Hollywood today and the landscape and what the deal was, I would spend my first 6 to 12 months doing one thing. And then I would spend the next 6 to 12 months doing another. And that is making sure that I had a piece of material or a couple of pieces of material, not something that someone auditioned and hired you for, but self-created demo work because that gets thrown out the window. That was both from a creative standpoint, the writing, which I would just steal material from stuff that's already been done, and I would make sure that I had a 1 to 2 minute piece of material that matched me, that people couldn't ignore. Ignore your art, that matched who
your
you
type,
were
your
as
niche,
a product.
all that.
Correct. Not what you love or what you'd like to do on stage, but what matches you based on the reality of film and television today.
Why is that real? Why is that 2 minute piece of material so important?
Because it was always your calling card. It's always been since video and beta SP and all those things we used to do.
Now you're going, I was too young for beta. You're aging yourself now.
Of course you were. Yeah, I know. Because I know that 3/4 is too old for you, right? 3/4 and beta SP. Because we've always been a motion picture business card business.
Picture business card business. Okay.
I mean, the motion, your moving picture was always your business card along with your headshot. One was still, one was moving. That's always been the case. But now it is literally the only thing, because people they will go look at you, they will go watch you, and I'll get to that in a minute. But you have to have that, and it can't just be, because I did 14 student films. I had my first demo reel was based on student films, so some of which the sound was awful, and we still face all that today. It has to be broadcast quality. It has to be shot in such that people lose willful suspense of disbelief, the whole reason why we perform. It has to be something that people are willing to watch and go, yeah, that person has something that I'd be interested in hiring or working with. 100%. That would be the number. But again, this is the problem. That's not a simple answer. People start using their friends. They try to shortcut the process. They don't spend very much time. They're not patient. They don't get good cameramen. I can go down the list of all the things about making a movie that happens to be 90 seconds long.
I go down the same list for headshots. That's why. That's why we did so well.
And so you spend all this time, you spend all this money, and it doesn't serve the purpose.
That's right. That's why I met Frank. His roommate took his pictures. He came in with headshots.
Right.
Wondering why they didn't work.
And look today, and look where you are with Frank. And now you've spent jail time with Frank, and I think that's terrific. So that's part of the appreciation for the degree of professionalism that you have to have in that moving picture.
Contemporary professional standards, what's it?
CPS, that's my thing. You remember.
That's right.
Contemporary professional standards.
And the other thing that you taught me, that guys, you gotta really wrap your head around this. Kevin's always told me this, and I repeat it like it's mine. I stole it. Just because you can do something doesn't mean it's a good idea. You should.
Just because something's possible doesn't make it a good idea.
So just because you can write your own script doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Yeah, don't.
Just because you can have a friend shoot your headshots doesn't mean it's a good idea.
Correct. The price of free.
The price of free, exactly. Yeah, we know the price of free.
And so the second thing to that is that would be
so have really good material. Spend your time getting really good material
on yourself
to show yourself as an actor. What's the other thing you would do?
Number 2 is meeting people, and this is what's beautiful about where we've come today.
Okay,
because now no one meets anyone anymore.
Meet people. I agree. I call it. Back on the East Coast and in Europe and San Francisco and all that, where we take public transportation, It's something I call forced intimacy. You know if that bump was
That's
friendly
good.
or not friendly.
Right, that's good.
You know if somebody looked at you, if they were holding the. Here we're in our cars and we have no forced intimacy,
Right.
except a fender bender. But this, everyone says you need to meet people. Easier said than done. Here's a 22-year-old kid from wherever has come to LA, been here 8 months, 7 months. Besides their acting class, and even the jobs today are not, bartenders and waitresses. They're driving Uber. They're sitting in a fucking car. Okay.
Fair enough.
How do you meet people?
Interesting
How do you meet
place
the
to meet
right
someone.
people? Yeah. How do you? I've taken Uber, and most of the time it's my customers.
Okay, well, here's my point to that. Here's my point to that setup is really what about human engagement and human social activity has changed in 30 years? Nothing. We still go to parties. We still go to events. We still go to charity functions. We still go to clubs.
We've been here a long time. Somebody's been here 7, 8 months.
But those, I understand.
They still exist.
But those, it's not like they've gone away.
No.
Uber has not removed the concept of going somewhere. They may have changed a little bit of how you get there, but it hasn't changed where you're going.
And also job-wise, I knew people who'd, be a bartender or a cocktail
So you have two
waitress,
challenges.
and they meet a lot of people in that 8-hour
Of course.
shift. Now it's a little harder.
It is, but there's two options to that. First of all, where are you going? Second of all, why are you hiding?
Because they don't know where to go. They don't know what to do.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I don't agree.
Okay.
I believe a good percentage between the age of 18 or 32 are hiding because they believe they're going to actually solve their professional networking issues with social media.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
okay,
that's
so
not happening.
again, there's a difference between becoming a personality who's an influencer and social media. Social media is the big umbrella using digital content and technology to say, here's my brand muffin for breakfast. So there's brand muffin for breakfast, and then there's actually having followers and subscribers. But the in-between place between those two things is every actor who shows up here of just because I have a Twitter account, just because I have a Facebook account and an Instagram account, et cetera. Who's following you? You don't have a list of people.
And who are you following?
So you have to go out and meet people. And going to parties and things and such has never changed. The question becomes, AJ, and I'm being really, I know we joke a lot. Joke a lot. I'm being really sincere. For everybody watching this, no matter what your age is, why did coming to California, or if you were born here getting a headshot, why did deciding to be an actor who wanted to pursue this for money, what did it cause you to suddenly be afraid of that you otherwise wouldn't have been afraid of? Because I believe it's fear that keeps us out of going to places.
Yes.
And the fear of
what? Yeah, fear of what?
And that answer to that question, which is going to be to degrees, 3 or 4 of the same answers, but varying degrees of difference in each person, that answer is the reason why we don't go out and do what is available to all of us to go out and do, which is put yourself, you're a physical human being who's an actor, who's a product for sale in Los Angeles. You are a walking billboard for what you're selling.
You're the product.
So why in the world would you not put yourself in the place of it, even being visible from across the room, like lovely Frank is over there, being seen by somebody who might matter? What is the fear, AJ? And until you answer that question, until you deal with that question, then you're probably not going to go out and do as much of what I mean by meeting people. And the fear is fear of being judged, fear of having to answer the question, so what do you do? And then go, I'm an actor but have nothing to say. The fear of what if somebody's friendly and they are in a position to help you and you don't know what to say. Again, this is all the reason why I've been speaking. And,
right. Yeah, me too.
But I think it's fear
like I tell actors,
Right. Fear of social interaction is what's driving the myth, what I consider fear of social interaction. I could keep this as a quote.
Yeah,
fear of social interaction is what's driving the myth of social media.
Fear of social
interaction is driving the myth of social media.
Ponder that for a minute, guys.
But there's your answer.
My brother. It's like I tell actors is, don't be goal orientated, I make goals and all that, but enjoy the journey of being an actor.
Yeah,
don't just look at the destination.
And it's the impatience of technology.
Oh, impatience.
And
absolutely.
the impatience of social media that leads us to believing that even without having built anything that would cause, I'm still going to find a way. And listen, I'm not a patient person. You know me a long time.
I'm not patient either, but
I played third base for a reason. Like, let's get it down here in a hurry.
Yeah.
But the reality
I'm not patient either, but it is sorry to cut you off, but in any business, when I opened Argentum for 10 years, I worked alone. I didn't have an employee, didn't make a dime. Every penny I made went in. I had a wife who supported me at that time. But it took more than 10 years. If I'd known it was going to take that long, I may not have opened. But, you think it's going to happen much sooner.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we all wouldn't do.
But then once you enjoy the journey of doing what you're doing, then it doesn't matter how long it takes.
True.
You know?
And I'm okay. Obviously with the Actors Network, we had 5,000 people that came through the doors from all over the world. I have no problem with somebody making a decision to come here and go, okay, I'm coming here for 3 years. That's it.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
as long as in those 3 years
they give it a 100%
you
shot at
put
it.
both feet in,
Yeah.
and you sell out and you risk. I don't mean being unprofessional or goofy or silly. I mean you sell out so that when that 3-year mark comes, if you choose to pack it up and go on with the rest of your life, wherever that is, and whatever,
Your
that you
conscience
don't sit
tells
around
you,
15 years later and going,
I didn't give it my best
I should have
shot.
done the
I
blah,
should
blah,
have,
blah.
exactly.
Yeah. I'm totally fine with it.
Regret's horrible.
Yeah, regret's really horrible. So,
you're that frank. Regret's no good.
Yeah.
And
it takes a while for you to determine that regret only probably starts to seep in.
I wish we had a camera on Frank, you know.
It would be like the extras package on the
That's
DVD.
Right. There you go. Director's cut.
Hey, you should be surprised I've stayed here.
Yeah. Well,
Kevin's speaking. Who's going to get a word in? Yeah. No, I absolutely. I have him here because he's awesome with all this stuff. What else do you want to tell new actors before I pimp your book?
Oh, tell new actors?
Yeah,
understand.
How do you find a great acting school, an acting coach? How do you representation?
How do you find?
Agents,
how do you
you've
find
had like 30 of them.
How
Maybe
do you
you're not
find
the
a
best
great
guy.
intimate partner?
Oh,
you
Jesus,
have to.
Here we go. Now we're going on Tinder and Bumble and shit.
No, everyone asks that question. It's I would say between a photographer and a teacher, or a representative. Those are obviously the 3 main questions you get when I was in the position of being the president of the Actors Network, or anytime I'm on the street, or anyone that would ask me anything. And the problem with that, much less so with a photographer in certain ways, much more so with the teacher. We want someone to tell us who's going to be awesome, but acting is subjective, acting is individual, acting is incredibly cellular, it's incredibly personally intimate, and the person who's instructing you has to be someone that you vibe with what they're saying. It doesn't mean that what this person over here is saying is wrong, but what goes in you that, and this is my only point about acting coaches, that you're going to actually be able to carry with you and work with when you actually have an audition and you actually clear that door like I cleared on Friday and actually do what you've been instructed to do.
You also have to be very honest with yourself. You know,
Yes.
I've met plenty of actors who, for 5 years have sat with the same acting teacher because it was comfortable. They weren't challenged, they weren't pushed, their feelings weren't hurt. It was comfortable, but they didn't grow. They didn't grow as actors. Their career didn't grow.
And there's nothing comfortable about in a real legitimate audition room. That's one of the things that's happened a lot with influencers and with digital technology and with all the ultra low budget, modified low budget contracts is you have a whole generation of actors who are used to having their buddy call them up and go, hey, listen, I'm doing a short and a thing and a blah with a guy in the backyard with a balloon and a goat and a guy named Billy.
Yeah.
And there's no audition. Right. And there's no audition process. And then all of a sudden they get an audition for 4 lines on Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And they go, ah! And they freak out because
they haven't auditioned.
Walking into that room, what it does to your mind, which of course runs your art, is a whole other Oprah. And so you have to get really good at the audition process. And the only way you get good at that is making sure you have instruction that syncs in with you. So if you're a teacher, you're just taking an acting class because of the teacher's name and what you think it's going to do for you on your resume, it's probably not going to help you out a lot in the long term.
Cool. What else do you have to add before I talk about your book? Anything more for actors?
No, go ahead. Well,
you've got plenty.
Yeah, I would
read the book.
I would tell you,
folks. He's got this awesome book.
Okay, go ahead.
7 Deadly Sins the Actor Overcomes.
Turn the cover towards the camera.
Don't worry. They all know. Google it. Buy it.
It's going to shine off. It's hard to say.
Buy it.
Maybe Ed can make sure you lean that. So
See that? See that? It's a cool book. You know what I love about this book? Because I hate reading. You don't have to. You don't have to. I hate reading, man. You don't have to read it cover to cover. You just pick up a chapter, read a couple paragraphs, read a couple pages, and you'll get something from it. There's good information in here. What's next for you?
Every chapter is 3 pages for a reason, and it's in a theme, but they're all you're correct. They're mutually exclusive and they stand alone.
You can pick it up and so it's really good advice, not just for actors, mainly actors. That's who we're talking to, but it's good advice for anybody. I learned shit from here, and I'm not an actor. What's next for you?
Well, I just found out prior to us starting this interview that I did not book the job I read for on Friday. So I'm terribly depressed and I'm going to need to drink heavily after we're done.
Ed, get the whiskey.
I just finished a friend of mine's film yesterday.
I'm never depressed and I drink heavily. So I wonder what.
That's one of the reasons why you're never depressed.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. I just finished a friend of mine's film yesterday. I'm looking for a publisher for my second book, which has nothing to do with show business.
Nothing to do with show
And
business.
of course, as you know, I've started my third book, and you know what that book's about.
Yeah, I do know what that book's about.
It's not about show business.
That book's a how-to manual for.
No, but that could be the sequel to the book that I'm writing. And I'm currently trying to finish the screenplay on the Life Right story that I have. I'm also doing it as a television show, both, so I have both aspects.
You
of
still
it.
pursuing acting?
I just auditioned
I know.
on Friday.
Okay, one. You got 7 other things that have now. You know.
I listen. I got a lot going on.
Lot
I got
going
it. It takes me being very busy
As
to
I
make
said,
sure.
we're lucky we got him here for a few minutes.
I stay out of-
Unlike Frank, who's been here all day.
You won't let me leave.
That's right. Come here, Frank.
Did
Let's put
he
him in the
do
pit.
his laundry here? Okay.
He would if we had
If
the.
you had
If,
to wash your car, I would be.
I
Got
gotta
a
make sure I
garden
do.
hose.
I gotta make sure I do a lot of stuff so I don't wind up in jail. So I've always got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I'm writing op-eds regarding our current political situation. I'm actually a weekly contributor to a political podcast. There's a lot going on. It's crazy town here with the Hollywood redneck.
it is
because I'm the Hollywood.
You're the
redneck.
Hollywood redneck.
I am.
Find him on social media. Find him on Google. Frank, come in here so people are not. First Frank's trying to convince us he's the same age as us. Nah,
Frank
I
Krim.
don't think so.
I'm 10 years
Same
younger
age?
than both these guys.
Wow.
Really?
So that's accurate.
Wow.
I don't use
10
any hair
years
product
younger.
whatsoever.
Really? Okay, you forgot your Propi shirt this morning.
Yeah, and
This morning, we forgot it for a while.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank
buddy.
you, man. Love you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Chris,